Repeater stations extend radio range across the forest. Rangers use them to communicate across valleys and ridges. Repeater Station 3 still functions. But rangers won't answer calls that route through it, because calls from Repeater 3 have a delay, not signal lag, but temporal delay. Conversations happen out of sequence. Rangers answer questions before they're asked, hear responses to statements they haven't made yet. And every ranger who tried to correct the timeline heard their own voice on the other end, warning them not to try. Repeater stations are critical infrastructure. Automated relay towers that receive radio transmissions and rebroadcast them across greater distances. Essential for coordinating search and rescue, reporting emergencies, maintaining contact across terrain that blocks direct communication. The forest has 7 repeater stations, all automated, all maintained annually, all functioning normally. Except Repeater 3. Repeater 3 works perfectly, signal strength excellent, coverage area normal, equipment testing shows no malfunctions. But rangers don't use it anymore. They route communications through repeaters 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They avoid Channel 3 entirely. They've reprogrammed dispatch protocols to skip Repeater 3's frequency. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works wrong. Calls routed through Repeater 3 don't travel through space the way radio signals should. They travel through time. Not forward, not backward. Sideways. Into conversations that haven't happened yet. Into timelines slightly offset from the present. Into versions of the radio exchange where cause and effect run in reverse. And every ranger who's used Repeater 3 has experienced the same phenomenon, hearing their own voice responding to things they're about to say, answering questions they haven't asked yet, warning them about decisions they haven't made. As if the conversation is happening in 2 timelines simultaneously, one 3 seconds ahead of the other. And the version 3 seconds ahead is trying to warn the version in the present, trying to stop them from creating the loop. But the loop always closes. Tonight we follow 3 accounts, each describing calls routed through Repeater 3, each ending with temporal confusion and causality violation, and each revealing that the delay isn't a malfunction. It's the repeater working exactly as designed. Repeating not just across space, but across time, echoing conversations that haven't happened yet, broadcasting the future into the present, 3 seconds ahead. Forever out of sync, forever looping. The first account comes from Ranger Michael Torres, a 12-year veteran who worked communications coordination and trusted radio protocols above all else. Torres was precise, methodical. The kind of ranger who followed radio procedures exactly, maintained equipment schedules religiously, and logged every transmission with timestamp and content. On March 17, 2018, Torres was coordinating a routine trail maintenance crew working near mile marker 9. Standard communication protocol. Check in every 30 minutes via radio. At 10:32 a.m., his radio crackled. Repeater 3 to base. Crew checking in. Torres keyed his mic. Base to trail crew. Go ahead with status. We're finishing up at mile 9, ready to move to next section. Should we head to mile 11 or return to base? Standard check-in. Standard question. Torres checked his schedule. The crew was ahead of schedule. Mile 11 could be completed today if they continued. Base to crew. Proceed to mile 11. You have time to... The radio cut him off. The crew's voice. Copy that, base. Proceeding to mile 11. We'll check in at 1100 hours. Torres stopped talking. His chest tightened, not from confusion yet, but from the way the crew had responded before he finished speaking. He keyed the mic again. Crew, confirm you received my last transmission complete. A pause. Static. Then. Affirmative, base. You said proceed to mile 11 and check in at 1100 hours. We copied full transmission. But Torres hadn't said check in at 1100 hours. He'd been about to say it, had the words ready, but the crew acknowledged before he spoke them. Torres checked his radio, functioning normally, signal clear. No interference. He logged the exchange with a note. Possible transmission overlap. Crew may have anticipated standard protocol. But his hands were shaking, not from cold in the mild March morning, but from the way the crew had heard words he hadn't said yet. At 11 a.m., the crew checked in again. Repeater 3 to base, crew at mile 11. Torres keyed his mic. Base to crew, report status. Status is, hold on, base. We're getting an odd reading on the transmission cut out. Static. Torres waited. Standard procedure during signal issues. 30 seconds later, his radio crackled back to life. But it wasn't the crew. It was Torres' own voice. Base to crew. Disregard that last instruction. Return to base immediately. Torres felt his throat close. He hadn't said that. Hadn't transmitted anything except report status. But he was hearing his own voice, his exact tone, his exact speech pattern, giving an instruction he hadn't issued. He keyed the mic with hands that had started trembling. Crew, this is base. Please confirm your last received transmission. The crew responded, Base. We copied your instruction to return immediately. We're packing up now. Is there an emergency? Torres's vision started to tunnel. Peripheral gray creeping in. That first stage of panic where reality stops making sense. Negative. No emergency. Please confirm. What exactly did I say in my last transmission? You said, disregard that last instruction. Return to base immediately. Exact wording. But Torres hadn't said that. Not out loud, not over the radio. Though he'd been about to say it, had been forming the thought. The crew's odd reading had concerned him, and his instinct was to recall them. But the words had been transmitted before he spoke them. 3 seconds before. Torres radioed dispatch. Base to dispatch, requesting supervisor. We have a communication anomaly on repeater 3. His supervisor, Patricia Vance, arrived at the communications station 20 minutes later. Describe the anomaly, she said, her voice careful and measured in a way that made Torres's hands shake harder. The crew is hearing my transmissions before I make them. They're responding to instructions I haven't given yet. Vance closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, her expression had shifted from professional to something darker, recognition, resignation. What repeater are you using? Repeater 3, standard frequency for the Western District. Switch to repeater 4, immediately. Finish your shift on any repeater except 3. What's wrong with repeater 3? Vance pulled up a chair, sat down heavily. Repeater 3 has a temporal delay, not signal lag, time lag. Transmissions route through it 3 seconds into the future. The crew isn't hearing what you're about to say. They're hearing what you will say 3 seconds from now. Torres felt his chest tighten further. That's impossible. I know, but 19 Rangers have documented the same phenomenon over 6 years. Repeater 3 transmits across time. We don't know why. We don't know how. We just know that conversations routed through it happen out of sequence. Have you reported this? To whom? The FCC? Our repeater violates causality? We've had engineers examine it 4 times. The equipment is normal. The signal is normal. But the timing is wrong, consistently. 3 seconds ahead. Torres tried to process this. Failed. What happens if you keep using it? If you try to have a normal conversation through the delay? Vance's expression went darker. You create a causality loop. You hear yourself responding to things you're about to say. You try to change what you were going to say because you heard the response. But you can't, because a future version of you already said it. So you say it, and the loop closes. And Rangers who tried to break the loop, who've tried to deliberately say something different from what they heard themselves say. She paused. They hear their own voice, warning them not to try. The second account comes from Dr. James Whitlock, a communications engineer who specialized in radio propagation and refused to believe that electromagnetic signals could transmit through time. On August 9, 2020, Whitlock obtained authorization to conduct a comprehensive technical analysis of repeater 3 with university-grade testing equipment. He brought spectrum analyzers, signal delay measurement instruments accurate to nanoseconds, synchronized atomic clocks, voice recording equipment, digital oscilloscopes. His hypothesis: repeater 3 had a mundane technical fault, probably signal reflection or atmospheric ducting, creating the illusion of temporal displacement. He established a baseline test. He would transmit a series of timed messages through repeater 3 and measure the actual delay between transmission and reception. At 2:17 p.m., Whitlock keyed his radio. Test transmission 1. Timestamp 14 hours, 17 minutes, and 0 seconds precisely. His receiver, positioned 3 miles away at the base station, also routing through repeater 3, recorded the incoming message. Timestamp 14 hours, 16 minutes, and 57 seconds. 3 seconds before he transmitted it, Whitlock checked his equipment. Both clocks synchronized to atomic time, both accurate to within nanoseconds. No error possible. But the received message showed a timestamp 3 seconds earlier than the transmission. The signal had arrived before it was sent. Whitlock felt his hands start shaking, not from excitement, though that was there, but from staring at data that violated fundamental physics. He ran the test again. Test transmission 2, timestamp 14 hours, 23 minutes, and 0 seconds precisely. Received 14 hours, 22 minutes, and 57 seconds. Again, 3 seconds early. He ran 15 more tests. Every transmission received 3 seconds before it was sent. Consistent, measurable, impossible. Whitlock sat back and tried to formulate a rational explanation. Signal couldn't travel backward in time. Electromagnetic waves propagated at the speed of light, forward through time, following causality. Unless repeater 3 wasn't just relaying signals across space. Unless it was somehow routing them through a region where time flowed differently. A localized temporal distortion. A bubble where causality was offset by 3 seconds. He set up his next test, a live conversation through repeater 3. At 3:41 p.m. he radioed the base station where his assistant, Sarah Voss, was monitoring. Voss, this is Whitlock. Beginning conversational test. Please respond when you receive this transmission. Silence. Then Voss's voice. Received, Dr. Whitlock. What would you like me to do? Whitlock checked his timestamp. Voss had responded 1 second after his transmission. But then his radio crackled again. Voss's voice. I understand. I'll run the diagnostic on the secondary antenna array. Whitlock's vision tunneled. He hadn't said anything about the secondary antenna array. Hadn't mentioned diagnostics. But he'd been about to, had been forming the request. He keyed his mic. Voss, what exactly did I just say to you? You asked me to run diagnostics on the secondary antenna array. You said you suspected signal reflection might be causing the delay readings. But Whitlock hadn't said that yet. He'd been about to say it, in his next transmission, but Voss had heard it first. His chest tightened. His throat closed. His body flooded with adrenaline as his mind tried to process hearing a response to words he hadn't spoken yet. Voss, I need you to confirm. Did you hear my request before or after I made it? A pause. Then Voss's voice, uncertain. I heard you ask about the antenna diagnostics, but now that you mention it, I don't think I heard you ask. I just knew what you were going to ask. The words were in my head before you said them. Whitlock felt ice flood his veins. Run the timestamp analysis. Compare my transmission times to your reception times. Send me the data. 2 minutes later, his equipment showed the results. Every transmission Voss received came 3 seconds before Whitlock sent it. She was hearing his future transmissions, responding to requests he was about to make, having a conversation with a version of him that existed 3 seconds ahead. Whitlock forced himself to continue. To test the limits. Voss, I'm going to make a statement. I want you to tell me what I say before I say it. Silence. Then, you're going to say, the repeater is functioning exactly as designed. Whitlock's breath caught. Those were the exact words he'd been about to say. But he hadn't said them yet. Voss had heard them first, heard them from the future, from a version of the conversation that hadn't happened yet. He keyed his mic and spoke. The repeater is functioning exactly as designed. The words felt wrong leaving his mouth, not because they were incorrect, but because he was speaking words he'd already heard himself say, creating a loop, closing a causality circle that shouldn't exist. His radio crackled, but it wasn't Voss. It was Whitlock's own voice. Dr. Whitlock, this is you, 3 seconds from now. Stop the test. Don't try to break the loop. I tried. You're about to try. Don't. Whitlock felt his hands go numb. He was hearing himself, his exact voice, his exact speech patterns, warning him. From 3 seconds in the future. He keyed the mic with shaking hands. This is Whitlock. Identify yourself. His own voice responded, I'm you, 3 seconds ahead. You're about to try to say something different from what I said. You're going to try to break the causality loop by deliberately changing your next transmission. Don't. It doesn't work. I tried. You'll try. But you can't change it. Because I already know what you're going to say. Because I already said it. 3 seconds ago. From where I am now. Whitlock's vision went white. Edges of his sight burning out as his brain tried to process a conversation with himself, with a version of himself that had already experienced the next 3 seconds. How many times have we had this conversation? He whispered. I don't know. I'm you from 3 seconds ahead. I don't remember anything before that. But the version of me 3 seconds ahead of where I am now is probably warning me the same way I'm warning you. And the version 3 seconds ahead of that version is warning that version. It's loops all the way forward. Whitlock tried to think, tried to find a way out. What if I stop transmitting? Break the chain? You can't, because I already know you don't. Because from where I am, you already kept transmitting. You're going to say... Whitlock keyed off his radio. Sat in silence. Refused to transmit. For 30 seconds, nothing. Then his radio crackled on its own. His own voice. You're going to say, I can break this by refusing to transmit. But you can't. Because this transmission is coming from your future. And in your future, you kept transmitting. You're about to turn your radio back on and ask me how this is possible. Don't. There's no answer. There's only the loop. Whitlock's hands moved before his mind caught up, keying the radio, speaking, how is this possible? And the loop closed. The third account is the most disturbing, because it involves a ranger who used repeater 3 deliberately, trying to exploit the 3-second window to prevent an accident by warning their past self. This is the story of Ranger Jennifer Hayes, who believed the temporal delay could be used to change the future if you knew what was coming 3 seconds ahead. On November 4th, 2022, Hayes was coordinating a supply delivery to a remote ranger station when she accidentally routed through repeater 3. At 4:47 p.m. she transmitted, Repeater 3 to Ranger Station 12. Supply truck is en route. ETA 30 minutes. The response came immediately. Station 12 to base. We need medical. Ranger injured. Truck accident on approach road. Hayes's chest went cold. Station 12, confirm. Did you say truck accident? The supply truck hasn't arrived yet. Affirmative. Truck lost brakes on the descent. Hit the guardrail. Driver has head injury. Requesting immediate medical response. But the truck was still en route. Still 15 miles away. The accident hadn't happened yet. Unless Hayes was hearing a transmission from 3 seconds in the future, a report of an accident that would happen 3 seconds from now. Or 30 minutes from now, but reported 3 seconds ahead through Repeater 3's temporal loop. Hayes's mind raced. If she was hearing the future, she could prevent it. She keyed her radio. Station 12, disregard that last. Contact the supply truck on their direct frequency. Tell them to check their brakes before the descent. Silence. Then Station 12's voice. Base, we're not sure what you mean. The accident already happened. The truck is here. The driver is injured. When did it happen? Just now. Maybe 30 seconds ago. 30 seconds ago. But Hayes had only transmitted 45 seconds ago, which meant the accident happened before she warned them, but she heard the report before it happened, which meant the report came from after the accident but transmitted backward through repeater 3's delay. Time wasn't linear on repeater 3. Effects preceded causes. Futures bled into presents. Warnings arrived too late even when they arrived early. Hayes keyed her mic. Station 12. I need exact timeline. When did the truck arrive? When did the accident occur? Truck arrived at 16:47 hours. Lost brakes on descent to station. Hit guardrail at 16:48 hours. We're treating the driver now. Hayes checked her radio log. Her transmission, 16 hours, 47 minutes and 0 seconds. Station 12's accident report, 16 hours, 47 minutes and 3 seconds. The accident, 16 hours, 48 minutes and 0 seconds. She'd heard the report 3 seconds after her transmission, but the accident wouldn't happen for 13 more minutes. Station 12 was reporting from the future, from after the accident, but their transmission was routed through repeater 3, which sent it 3 seconds backward in time. No, not 3 seconds backward. 3 seconds into the past of their transmission, which meant their transmission happened in the future, but Hayes was hearing it in the present, 3 seconds after their future selves sent it. Her head was spinning. Causality was fracturing. She couldn't tell what was past, present, or future anymore. She keyed her radio. Station 12, has the accident happened yet from your perspective? Affirmative. It happened 30 seconds ago. But from Hayes's perspective, it wouldn't happen for 12 more minutes. Which meant Station 12 was in her future. Their present was her future. And repeater 3 was connecting them across the time difference. Hayes made a decision. Station 12, I'm going to transmit a warning to myself. 3 seconds ago. Tell me what you hear. She took a breath, keyed the mic. Ranger Hayes, this is your future self. In 3 seconds, Station 12 will report a truck accident. You need to contact the supply truck immediately and warn them to check their brakes before the descent. She released the mic. Waited. Her radio crackled. Her own voice, Ranger Hayes, this is your future self. In 3 seconds, Station 12 will report a truck accident. You need to contact the supply truck immediately and warn them to check their brakes before the descent. Hayes felt her hands go numb. She'd just heard herself. Her exact words. But she'd just spoken them. So she was hearing them from 3 seconds ago, from when she was about to speak them. She was hearing her own past transmission in her present, while Station 12 was hearing her present transmission from their future. Time was looping through repeater 3, past, present, and future, all transmitting simultaneously, all connecting through the 3-second delay, all overlapping in a tangle of causality, where warnings came too late, and reports arrived too early, and her own voice echoed across time. Hayes keyed her radio. Station 12, did you receive my last transmission? Negative, base. We haven't heard from you in 2 minutes. Because from their perspective, from their timeline, Hayes's transmission hadn't happened yet. It was in their past. Her present was their past. Her future was their present. She was talking to them across time, multiple timelines, multiple presents, all offset by 3 seconds, all tangling together through repeater 3's impossible routing. Hayes' radio crackled, her own voice again. Hayes, this is you. You're trying to warn your past self. It won't work. I tried. I'm 3 seconds ahead of you. I know what you're about to do. You're going to try to break the loop by not transmitting the warning. But you will. Because I did. Because from where I am, you already did it. The loop always closes. You can't change the past from the future because the future is already in the past from the perspective of repeater 3. Hayes felt her throat close. Who are you? I'm you. 3 seconds from now, and 3 seconds from now, I'll be 3 seconds in your past, and you'll be me, warning your past self. Forever. The loop doesn't end. You're trapped in it now. You used repeater 3 to try to change time. But you can't change time. You can only create loops. And you're in one now. Permanently. You'll transmit the warning. Your past self will hear it. Will try to break the loop. Will fail. Will become you. Warning their past self. Forever. Hayes was found at the communication station at 6:15 p.m., still sitting at her radio, transmitting continuously. The same transmission, over and over. Ranger Hayes, this is your future self. Don't use repeater 3. You're about to try to prevent an accident. You can't. You'll create a loop. You're in the loop now. You've been in the loop for 3 seconds. For 3 hours. For 3 years. Time doesn't work here. Don't use repeater 3. She'd been transmitting for 90 minutes. The same warning. Exactly the same words every 30 seconds. As if she was stuck in a loop. Experiencing the same 3 seconds over and over. Warning her past self. Becoming her future self. Collapsing into a single point in time that repeated forever. She doesn't remember any of it. When they pulled her from the communication station, she couldn't recall the last 90 minutes. Couldn't remember transmitting the warnings. Couldn't remember hearing her own voice. Just the knowledge that she'd tried to use repeater 3 to change the future, and that the future had trapped her in a loop where past and present and future all collapsed into a single moment that repeated forever, 3 seconds at a time. Today, repeater station 3 still functions. Signal strong, coverage normal, equipment maintained. But rangers don't use it. Dispatch protocols automatically route calls through repeaters 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Never 3. Channel 3 is officially marked as, quote, under maintenance, permanently. But rangers who work the district know the truth. Repeater 3 isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Repeating signals across distance and across time. 3 seconds ahead, 3 seconds behind. 3 seconds sideways through timelines that overlap and tangle and loop back on themselves. Conversations happen out of sequence. Questions are answered before they're asked. Warnings arrive too late, even when they arrive early. Because repeater 3 doesn't transmit through space the way normal repeaters do. It transmits through time, forward and backward simultaneously, creating loops, causality circles, moments that repeat forever, 3 seconds at a time. Some rangers believe repeater 3 is a temporal anomaly, a region where time flows at a different rate, where past and future exist simultaneously, where causality breaks down. Some believe it's deliberate, that repeater 3 was built on a location where time doesn't work normally, where the forest itself has temporal distortions, where the past and future overlap. And some believe the most disturbing theory, that every repeater is like repeater 3, that all radio signals travel through time as well as space, that we only experience them in sequence because our brains impose linear causality on signals that actually transmit across all time simultaneously. But repeater 3's 3-second offset is just large enough to notice, just large enough to hear yourself from the future, just large enough to create loops. And once you're in the loop, you can't get out, because your future self already knows you tried, and your past self is about to try. And you're trapped between them, forever 3 seconds out of sync, forever hearing warnings you're about to send, forever sending warnings you already heard, forever looping. If you ever use a radio and hear someone respond before you finish speaking, if you hear your own voice warning you about something you're about to do, if the conversation seems to happen out of sequence, with answers preceding questions. Stop transmitting immediately. Don't try to correct the timeline. Don't try to warn your past self. Don't try to break the loop. Because some repeaters don't just extend range. They extend time. And repeater 3 has been broadcasting across 3 seconds for years. Every conversation that routes through it creates a loop. Every loop traps someone in a moment that repeats. And somewhere in the forest, on Channel 3, Rangers are still transmitting. Still warning their past selves. Still hearing their future selves warn them. Still trapped in conversations that loop forever. 3 seconds ahead. 3 seconds behind. Never in the present. Always between. Always looping. Always repeating.